Look, there is an invisible force trying to talk to you right now. This did not happen by chance. That is why you are watching this video right now. You see, a soul in the higher dimensions has moved heaven and earth to bring this revelation to you before an emotional catastrophe strikes your life. Do you feel that chill running down your spine? You know when your heart starts beating faster for no reason? That's spiritual recognition. Someone you really loved, someone you can still hug when you remember them, someone whose voice you still hear when you're alone, couldn't stay silent and watch what's happening. They asked for one thing, to warn you in time. And for that they prayed. They prayed so hard that it seems they crossed all the dimensional veils and reached the heart of the Creator. Because it's raining on your land. Look, it's like a storm that you can't see yet, but it's already casting its shadows on the decisions you have to make in the coming days. There is a person who occupies a special place in your trust, and who keeps secrets that, if revealed, would completely change the way you see everything. This is not just any message that you can leave for tomorrow. This is divine intervention happening in real time. Archangel Michael, who is like the bodyguard of truth, was chosen to ensure that nothing interfered with this communication. His presence is literally creating a protective barrier around this moment so that nothing, absolutely nothing, can prevent you from receiving the information you need. Have you been sensing something strange lately? Do you feel that there is something odd when you talk to someone, and it seems like they are not being completely honest with you? Those moments when it seems like people are looking at us more than usual. Conversations that stop abruptly when you arrive. Your internal warning system is working like a charm. Don't forget to pay attention to these signs. The person I'm talking about may be someone you never suspected. It may be someone who helps you a lot, who is always available to give you a word of support, who seems genuinely concerned about you and your well-being. But behind that carefully constructed facade, there's envy that grows like a silent cancer. They get upset when they see you always picking yourself up. Look, they've been gathering information about you for a long time, like months or even years. Look, your insecurities, your fears, your weaknesses, your emotional vulnerabilities. It's like a mental file that gets updated with every intimate conversation you have. Now they're going to use all that knowledge to hit you exactly where they know it will hurt the most. But they don't know that heaven is watching. That dear soul who interceded for you has achieved something extraordinary. They have activated supernatural protection around you. Look, angels are watching this person's every move. Everyone is pointing out their bad behavior. Fortunately, their dark plans are being dismantled before they can even be carried out. In the coming days, you will begin to see clear signs. Look, I think there are some contradictions in the stories this person tells. Little white lies that don't add up. There are times when they forget which version of the truth they were telling you. It's as if a fog has been lifted from your eyes, allowing you to see clearly what has always been there, but you didn't want to see. It may be a little painful at first, but you'll get used to it. Look, it's not easy to find out that someone you trusted was playing a double game. But don't worry, the pain will pass. After this revelation, you will feel a freedom you haven't felt in a long time. You will feel so relieved that you will even question how you managed to carry this weight alone until now. Because you were born with a special light. This energetic frequency attracts both people who want to feel comfortable in your presence and people who want to shut you down because they don't like the light. You see, you've always been a target for those who operate in the shadows because your natural light exposes the darkness in themselves. God, who loves you so much, has seen everything you've done to make yourself feel insecure. Look, I know you've always felt a little inferior so as not to bother others. Look, I've seen every tear you've shed in silence, thinking that no one cared. And you couldn't stand to see yourself being manipulated by someone who should have been protecting you. That's why this message is urgent. That's why it seems like someone is speaking directly into your ear. That's why your heart beats faster with every word you hear. Your spirit is recognizing the voice of someone who truly loves you through this revelation. Time is running out to make the right decisions. Look, it seems like an opportunity is opening up in your life, but the person who has been draining your energy is trying to prevent you from seeing it. They know that if you feel completely authentic and surrender to your true potential, you will no longer need them. And that scares them. Before you continue, write in the comments, "Nothing bad can happen to me because I am protected by the light of angels." This will connect your energy to the power of the universe and prevent anything bad from coming your way. Now, get ready to discover exactly how this protection will appear in your life. And this is where we realize why the universe conspired to bring you here. That special person in heaven not only prayed for you, but also achieved something that almost no one else can. They obtained permission to reveal the danger that is approaching, as well as the magnitude of the blessing that awaits on the other side of this trial. You've been feeling exhausted lately, haven't you? I feel like I'm carrying an invisible weight, but I can't say what it is. You feel like something is missing, but you're not sure what it is. This is not your imagination or the result of everyday stress. This happens when someone feeds off your achievements, joys, and even your tears. This person has an extreme need for drama in their life, which can be detrimental to their mental health. They need to see you vulnerable, because that's when they feel most powerful. These people have observed your emotional patterns like a predator studying its prey. They know exactly what to say to confuse you, which leads you to question your own perception of reality. But they didn't calculate that there is a heavenly clock ticking away. Everything they've done, every little lie they've told, every time they've made you doubt your worth, it's all recorded in the divine archives. And now it's time to settle the score. Over the next 7 days, we're going to see a series of revelations that will seem almost like something out of a movie. You'll overhear conversations, messages that ended up reaching the wrong recipient. People who, without meaning to, will confirm what they think may be true. It's as if the universe itself is organizing a presentation of evidence to open your eyes once and for all. To receive this transformative force in your life, write now in the comments, "I now activate my spiritual protection shield." From this point on, nothing will be the same, because you will discover not only who is fake, but also who are the real people that the Creator is sending to replace that toxic energy. Look, there's one specific thing you need to understand about your spiritual nature. You were not born to be normal. There is a mark in the sky for you that causes certain opportunities, people, and doors to open for you in a way that no one can explain. This has always bothered those who are not very good at what they do. Look, that's why they always try to convince you that you're not special, that you're exaggerating, that you should be more realistic about your expectations. Look, the truth is that you have a divine favor. And this favor doesn't happen by chance, nor is it luck or coincidence. It's a spiritual thing. This gift was already in your celestial DNA before you were born into this dimension. And now is the right time to stop hiding behind a modesty that doesn't define you and to fully embrace who you are. The person who has been trying to dim your light knows this. You see, they work so hard to keep you small, to keep you dependent on their approval, and to keep you questioning every intuitive impulse you receive. You will see that when you realize your true potential, they will no longer have as much control over your decisions, and that moment is almost here. That is why this revelation is urgent. That is why that special person did everything they could to warn you. Look, there's a specific window of time that opens, and if you go through it with that toxic person, they will be able to sabotage what is being prepared for you. What we are preparing is really good. We're talking about a complete upgrade, which aims to align you with your original purpose. We're talking about money coming in through channels you didn't even know existed. We're talking about relationships that will heal wounds you've been carrying for years. We're talking about mental and spiritual clarity that will transform every area of life. Look, there's an important detail you need to understand. There's a specific process for accessing this transformation. It doesn't just happen because you deserve it, okay? Come on, don't be afraid to make courageous decisions, even if they make you a little uncomfortable for a while. Look, this is what's important. You must always tell the truth, even if it seems more convenient to tell a lie. This phase is not just a passing phase. This is only the beginning. A passage to a completely different level of existence. You will experience a spiritual upgrade that will affect not only you, but also the next generations of your family. You see, you are breaking patterns that have existed in your family for a long time, maybe even for centuries. The resistance you have been feeling does not come only from the person we mentioned. There are also ancient forces that benefited from maintaining these patterns of limitation. The decision to wake up is changing spiritual contracts that had put you in cycles of self-sabotage. Sometimes it feels like we are fighting against something much bigger than what we can see, because it is. And that's where it gets really interesting. You are not alone in this fight. That person in heaven who interceded for you has mobilized an invisible army of support. Angels who work specifically with breaking limiting patterns have been assigned to your situation. And if this revelation touched your heart, and if you felt that this message came at the right time, click thank you so that more people can receive words that save, welcome, and awaken. This gesture is great. It strengthens this chain of light and allows these revelations to reach other people who, like you, were about to give up. Now write in the comments, "My energy is sacred and no evil has power over me." This statement shows your courage, faith, and spiritual rebirth. What comes next will test your ability to stand firm in your truth, even when the world around you tries to convince you otherwise. Now we need to talk about something that few people have the courage to address directly: emotional manipulation disguised as love and care. The person you are talking about is not acting in an obvious way. They are draining your energy. They are masters at making you feel guilty for questioning their intentions, at turning situations around to make you always look like the problem, at creating drama that forces you to run after solutions to problems they themselves have created. Have you noticed how, after talking to this person, your head is spinning with things that seemed clear before? What could have happened to throw your internal compass off course? It's no accident. It's a deliberate technique. They need to leave you in uncertainty because confident people are difficult to control. But what they didn't expect was this: the heavens had a specific strategy to expose precisely this type of manipulation. In the coming days, you will begin to see patterns that previously went unnoticed. You will notice that certain conversations always follow the same pattern. You know how it is, certain emergencies always happen just when we are about to make an important decision. You know how it is, people with problems always show up when we are starting to feel good about ourselves. And this is where we realize why that special person in heaven couldn't stay silent. You notice that this always happened in your life and recognize something familiar. Perhaps they themselves faced a similar situation when they were in this dimension. Perhaps they were victims of the same type of manipulation. And now, with a broader perspective, you can clearly see what you cannot yet see because you are too close to the situation. That is why you specifically asked Archangel Michael to create situations where the truth could not be hidden, where the masks began to slip, where the contradictions become so obvious that even you, who are so generous that you don't believe the worst of others, have to accept reality. This person has an unhealthy need to be the center of attention. When we are happy, they always find a way to worry us. When we are sad, they show up not to truly comfort us, but to feed off our vulnerability. You know, when you achieve something important, they seem to try to spoil your joy with comments that seem nice, but have a critical undertone. Have you noticed that? How come you can never share a complete victory with that person? As usual, there is always a but in their reactions. How do you always manage to see the negative side of the good things that happen to us? That's not protection. It's not realism. It's not care. It's envy disguised as prudence. But the universe is about to give you an incredible gift: absolute clarity. Not the gradual clarity you've been trying to build through rational analysis. Of course it is, there's no doubt about it. It's like a ray of light illuminating a dark room and showing you exactly where the obstacles that were tripping you up are. This will become clearer when a specific thing happens that is being prepared behind the scenes right now. People will have to choose between supporting their true interests or revealing their intentions. They will choose wrong. It's not because they're stupid, but because the mask they've worn for so long has become so heavy that they can no longer sustain it. For this revelation to happen in a protected way, so that you can see the truth without being destroyed by it, write in the comments, "Where light dwells, no shadow remains." This statement creates a kind of shield around you that allows you to see the truth with enough strength to use it. Look, there is one very important thing you need to understand about this process. When the truth appears, you may panic. Your generous heart will try to find justifications, alternative explanations, and ways to forgive the unforgivable. That's normal. That's human, but it also has its risks. Because there is a difference between forgiveness and denial. Look, healthy forgiveness happens when you fully acknowledge the reality of the situation, when you set clear boundaries and make decisions that protect your well-being. Destructive denial happens when you use your ability to forgive as an excuse to keep putting yourself in situations that drain your energy. The person in heaven who interceded for you knows this tendency of yours. You know you have a huge heart, and that sometimes you hurt yourself when you try to fit everyone into it, even when they don't deserve the sacred space you give them. That's why they specifically asked that this revelation be accompanied by strength to act, not just wisdom to understand. Understanding without acting will only cause us to suffer longer. And you have suffered enough. You've given them many chances. You've accepted too many excuses. You've embraced people who didn't embrace you back with the same sincerity. The time has come to value yourself as much as you value others. And here's something that will surprise you. When you finally say no to those who always expected you to say yes, you won't feel guilty as you imagined. You will feel free. Free like you haven't felt in years. Because there's a difference between being alone and being at peace. Guys, we have to be careful not to confuse loneliness with isolation, toxic relationships with companionship, or drama with emotional intensity. But a true connection is something completely different. It's being with someone who celebrates your victories instead of diminishing them. Having people in your life who empower you instead of draining you. And those people are coming. They're already on their way. Look, some of them may even already be in your life, but you can't see them clearly because all your emotional energy is being consumed by people who don't deserve it. It's like trying to see the stars on a cloudy night. The stars are there, but the clouds prevent you from seeing them. You'll be amazed when you get rid of the negative clouds and can only see the genuine light. You'll surely wonder how you could have lived so long without noticing the quality of the people who really care about you. You'll realize that when it comes to relationships, quantity has never been as important as quality. Now we come to a more delicate part, but also a part that makes me feel much freer. Man, you're going to discover something about yourself that explains why you attract people who want to take advantage of your light as much as people who want to extinguish it. You know, you have something that older people used to call a healing soul. It's not just normal empathy. It's like a supernatural ability to absorb other people's pain and turn it into something lighter. This is an incredible gift, but it's also something that people who prefer to transfer their problems to others rather than solve them use a lot. You know, you've been a kind of emotional support for a lot of people. People feel so good unloading all their frustrations, fears, and resentments on you. And you, in such a generous way, always find a way to process all that negative energy without giving it back. But in reality, there's one thing that a lot of people don't know. This ability should have limits. I think it should come with some tips on when to use it and when to save your energy. You've been like an emotional hospital, always available, never turning away patients or charging for treatment. And that's slowly killing you. The person who has been draining your energy has discovered this trait of yours and developed an unhealthy dependence on it. They have created a vicious cycle in which they create problems, confusion, and drama just so they can show up and fix the situation. They like the way you absorb the chaos they create. And the most disturbing thing is that they started doing it on purpose. What may have once been an unconscious dynamic is now a deliberate strategy. They know everything about your emotional response patterns. They know exactly how to upset you to get the reaction they want. When you try to walk away, they invent a crisis. You know, when you set boundaries, they seem to find a way to make you feel guilty for abandoning them when they need you most. When we question their behavior, they turn the tables and make us look insensitive or selfish. It's such a well-executed psychological game that we even begin to doubt our own perception. But the person in heaven has noticed this pattern and realized that you are being used as a source of energy to feed someone else's emotional laziness. Your light is being used to illuminate the darkness of someone who does not want to do their inner work. That is why they asked for immediate intervention. You see, Archangel Michael has been sent to cut those energetic cords that are sucking your vitality away. You know, this revelation has enormous power. It can break cycles that you didn't even know were happening. In the coming days, you will begin to feel an incredible energy that you haven't felt in a long time. It's as if internal channels that have been blocked for years have been unblocked. You will wake up more rested and with more patience for the things that really matter. You will feel a mental clarity that you haven't felt in a long time. This will happen because the heavenly protection that has been activated around you not only exposes those who are harming you, but also automatically cuts the energy drains that have been installed in your aura over time. It is like a deep spiritual cleansing that removes not only the toxic person, but also all the energetic residues they left in your vibrational field. Now write in the comments, "I am guided, protected, and strengthened by the angels of light." This affirmation shows that you are connected to the heavenly forces that are working to restore your inner peace and restore your personal power. And this is where we realize why this change had to happen now. You see, something extraordinary is about to happen in your life. It's an opportunity you've been waiting for years or even decades. But be careful. To make the most of this opportunity, you have to focus and give it your all, without letting yourself be affected by negative influences. The universe does not give certain blessings to people who are caught up in negative energies. It's not out of malice, it's for protection. You see, these blessings are so powerful that they can be corrupted or diverted if they are not received by someone who is completely aligned with their inner truth. Look, this energy cleansing is not just about eliminating the negative. It's more about preparing the space for amazing things to happen. It's about creating the right conditions for good things to happen in your life without interference. The person who has been draining your energy knows, deep down, that this change is coming. That's why the drama has intensified recently. Look, this has caused more confusion, more emotional dependence, and more situations that demand your constant attention. They feel they are losing control and are desperate to re-establish it before you fully awaken. But there is no time left for them. The celestial clock has already reached zero. The masks have already begun to slip. The truth has already begun to seep through the cracks in the facade they have built. And you, my dear, have already begun to see that no manipulation can fool you. And if this change has touched your heart and you feel you need support, so that this light can reach more people who are going through the same thing you went through, click on "Thank you so much." This gesture is important to keep the mission alive and for these revelations to reach other people who, like you, were being influenced by people who should have been strengthening you. Now you realize that everything you have experienced was not a mere coincidence. Man, everything you went through, every time they stole your energy, every moment you doubted your worth, it was all to get you to this point, to wake you up. Only when we are in the dark can we see the light. You had to realize that falsehood only values authenticity. Now that you know so much, no one can fool you. Your discernment system has been calibrated through experience. Your intuition has been sharpened by pain. Your personal power has been forged by facing difficult times. Now we come to the most important part of this revelation. You are going to discover what is leaving your life and what is coming in. Because heaven never takes something away without putting something infinitely better in its place. And what is coming will make everything that has happened seem like a small thing in exchange for an incredible change. That person in heaven who interceded for you not only asked for protection, but also specifically asked that you be rewarded for all the energy that was stolen from you, for all the light that was dimmed, for all the joy that was diminished. They asked for divine justice, but not a justice that destroys, but a justice that restores, that heals, that elevates. And that justice has already begun to appear. You may not have noticed, but lately there have been some small synchronicities in your life, chance encounters with interesting people. Opportunities have suddenly arisen. Ideas have popped into your head out of nowhere. These are not coincidences. They are early gifts of what is to come. The truth is that you were not yet giving your best. You were like a diamond covered in mud. Your true light hidden beneath layers of other people's energy, toxic expectations, and relationships that acted as anchors rather than propelling you forward. Now that the mud is being removed, your natural brilliance is shining through in a way that is impossible to ignore. In the coming months, you will see a series of openings that will seem magical. Look, doors that have been locked for years are suddenly opening easily. You know, there are people who show up when we need them most. Funds will come through channels you never even imagined existed. But the most incredible detail is that all of this was already meant for you. These aren't rewards for being a good person or prizes for suffering. It's just a matter of time before everything falls into place. Because after all, this is what has always been rightfully yours. The only thing stopping it from materializing was the energy you spent trying to push toxic people away. You know, when you have a bank account full of blessings waiting to be withdrawn, and someone steals your password and uses your resources to become mediocre? Now that the person has been identified and removed, you have full access to your spiritual resources. To fully activate this restoration, simply write, "The light that guides me is stronger than any darkness," in the comments. This statement eliminates any interference and opens the channels completely so that your spiritual heritage can manifest without obstacles. And this is where we realize why you always felt like you were born for something greater. Because you were. You see, you have a specific purpose that will have an impact not only on your life, but also on the lives of many people around you. Look, this couldn't happen when you were energetically connected to someone who operated on a level of lack and limitation. What's coming will give you a clearer vision of your true purpose. It's not something vague or abstract, but specific directions, practical steps, and concrete opportunities. It's like having a filter removed from your eyes and seeing things as they really are. You will also meet a group of people who are nothing like those you know. People who choose to see the positive side of things instead of complaining and waiting for things to happen. People who celebrate your growth instead of feeling threatened by it. People who contribute to your energy instead of draining it. You will be amazed at the difference in the quality of conversations, the depth of connections, and the authenticity of interactions. One of these people could be your great love, the one you want to build a family with. Someone who not only understands your sensitive nature, but also has their own inner light. Finally, you will be able to establish a partnership with someone in which you both grow, rather than a relationship in which the other person dominates you emotionally. But before any of these extraordinary people come into your life, you need to do a thorough cleanup of the relationships that no longer make you happy. And that includes having the courage to say no to people who have always expected you to say yes. Setting boundaries with those who have become accustomed to living without them. And prioritizing your emotional peace instead of trying to please everyone. Look, this may seem scary at first, especially if you consider yourself a people pleaser. But here's the liberating truth. Truly caring for someone sometimes means letting them face the consequences of their choices instead of always rescuing them from them. Look, the person who has been draining your energy will never learn to sustain themselves emotionally if you continue to be the crutch that prevents them from falling. You see, when you walk away, not only do you free yourself, but you also offer them the only real opportunity they have to grow and develop their own internal resources. And here's something that may surprise you. When you feel comfortable with who you are, and when you feel comfortable valuing yourself and others, you'll find that the people who really matter won't disappear. You will be able to see these people clearly for the first time, because true relationships are not based on a hierarchy of needs, where one person gives and the other receives. Healthy relationships are like a balanced exchange. Both contribute, both receive, both grow, both are strengthened through the connection. And when you start having these kinds of relationships, whether with friends, family, partners, or coworkers, you'll realize why you needed to distance yourself from people who weren't trustworthy. You'll see that you were wasting emotional energy on weaker versions of yourself than you really deserve. The change happening in your life right now isn't just about solving current problems. Look, it's about your path changing completely. From now on, you will make choices that will bring you closer to your most fulfilled version, instead of remaining stuck in cycles of sacrifice that lead you nowhere. And so we come to the end of this revelation, but this marks the beginning of a new era in your life. Everything you've discovered so far, whether it's about the person who is draining your energy, the heavenly protection that has been activated, or the blessings that are on their way, is just preparation for something even greater that is about to happen. That beloved soul in heaven who has caused all the heavenly forces to move to send you this message wants you to know one very specific thing. They are proud. We love how you persevere, how you continue to love even after being hurt, and how you seek the truth even when it is more comfortable to live in illusion. But now they want you to go further than just persevering. They want you to thrive. They want you to experience a life full of authentic connections and purpose. You'll be amazed at how much you've underestimated your own potential. Because there's a difference between surviving and thriving. You know, you've been a master at the art of surviving, but now it's time to learn the art of thriving. And that requires a major shift in how you relate to your own worth, your needs, and your dreams. To completely seal this transition and anchor this new reality in your life, write in the comments, "I am protected by invisible forces working in my favor." This statement creates an energetic connection between where you are now and where you are meant to be. In the coming days, you will begin to notice small but important changes in the way people respond to you. You will see that people will look at you differently. They will give you more attention than you are used to. You see, this happens because when you truly value yourself, you emit a frequency that automatically teaches others how to treat you. You will also discover talents and abilities that were dormant within you. I think that by removing that toxic person, we not only released emotional energy, but we also stopped taking advantage of the creative potential that was being suppressed. Ideas will come to you in a clear and powerful way that will surprise you. Solutions to old problems will appear as sudden insights. And here's something extraordinary. You will begin to attract opportunities that are perfectly aligned with who you really are, not who you thought you should be to please others. It seems that the universe has finally found your right frequency and has begun to send you experiences that were made just for your soul. Some of these opportunities may seem scary at first, because they will require you to step outside the comfort zone you have created around yourself as a caregiver. But remember, you were created to shine, not to hide behind the needs of others. The person in heaven who loves you is eager for you to be happy. It is not a joy that is conditional on the well-being of others. It is not a joy that you only allow yourself to feel when everyone around you is happy, but a joy that comes directly from recognizing your own worth, your own light, your own connection with the divine. They want you to have fun without guilt, to celebrate your victories without diminishing them, to accept compliments without deflecting attention to others. They want you to experience what it is like to be loved for who you are, not for what you do for others. And this is coming through people who are already being prepared behind the scenes to enter your life. It is possible that some of these people have crossed your path for a moment, but you did not notice the potential connection because you were too busy giving emotional energy to those who did not deserve it. It's as if you've been looking down for so long that you've stopped seeing the stars that have always been shining above your head. Now write in the comments, "My heart is light and no evil can resist that vibration." This statement shows that you don't have to accept less than you deserve in any area of life. And that's when we realize that all that manipulation and energy drain was part of a bigger plan. Only by knowing falsehood can you develop an internal system of discernment that no future manipulation will be able to deceive. You have to go through a phase of emotional scarcity to appreciate abundance when it arrives. Every time you cried because of that toxic person, it was like a seed planted in the soil of your wisdom. Man, every time you questioned your worth, you learned an important lesson about the importance of building your self-esteem without depending on the approval of others. Every time they abused your generosity, you learned an important lesson, knowing when to give and when not to. You finished college and now you have degrees in understanding things, liking yourself, and knowing how to set healthy boundaries. These qualifications cannot be learned from books. They can only be developed through experience. And now you are more prepared than ever to receive extraordinary blessings. In the coming months, you will understand why you had to go through this whole purification process. You will see that the universe did not play a trick on you with your difficult relationships, but rather that it was preparing you for extraordinary relationships, for this spiritual movement to end, and for this change to remain in your life forever. Write in the comments, "I am invincible when I connect with the light of the sky." This statement shows that you are now a person who cannot be manipulated, diminished, or used as a source of energy by people who do not want to do their own inner work. And if this whole journey has touched your heart, and you feel enormous gratitude for having received these revelations exactly when you needed them, don't hesitate to click the like button below. This gesture not only supports our mission to spread words of light, but also allows us to reach more people who, like you, need to wake up to this invisible reality. Before you go, I would like to extend a special invitation. This channel is not just another YouTube channel. It is a spiritual family where people who have gone through similar transformations support each other. Leave your comment below to share your story. Tell us how this message touched you, what you learned from it, and what changes you feel are happening in your life. You see, when we share our experience, we not only strengthen our own transformation, but we also offer hope to others who are going through the same thing. Your story may be exactly what someone needs to hear today to gain courage and make the necessary changes in their life. And if you want to participate more actively in this family and continue to receive spiritual guidance that comes directly from the heart to the heart, just click on the subscribe button and activate the bell. This community is not just online. It is like a spiritual family where we all have in common that we have discovered that we deserve much more than what we accepted. Look, that loved one who interceded for you in heaven did not do so for you to return to your old patterns after a few days. They did it so that you would finally take the place that has always belonged to you, the place of someone who is loved, valued, protected, and destined for an extraordinary life. Now, whenever you feel tempted to accept less than you deserve, remember this revelation. Remember that there is a heavenly cheering section that rejoices every time you choose your own happiness, that celebrates every time you value yourself, and that lets your light shine without apology. You are not alone on this journey. You never have been. Now that you see things differently, you will never doubt again.